Well, welcome to Anything New. My name is Opie, and as always, I'm here with Pete
Hello.
and Matt.
What's up?
Anything New is a live stream where we always talk about anything we've been using, cruising, or consuming during the week, guys. We have a huge show today, and not just huge in Japan, huge here in the United States for us, and we're not trying to overcompensate for anything. We got a lot to talk about. I'm just going to jump into it and go down the list here. We're going to start off with our anything news, which is something we hit on during the week. There's some highlights of things that are happening in the communities that we follow. We've got a trailer to talk about. We've got Gamescom to talk about. We've got some crazy child restrictions in China on online gaming to talk about. We're going to talk about Matt's community watch pick. Pete's community watch pick that we were supposed to watch last week, which was The Vault on Netflix. We're going to talk about, Gamepass a little bit. It's kind of coming back up in the news. I watched a retro gaming and auction kind of scam YouTube documentary, kind of 60-minute type of thing we'll get into and talk about. There's also a really cool episode of the Star Wars Gallery, which is a behind the scenes on how they do their episodes. And this one was on the Mandalorian finale, which so many people loved. We actually talked about it on here as well. There's a Survival Z game from Apple Arcade we're going to talk about, and then we'll get into our pickups. So, let's start it off. Matt, tell us about the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer.
So this seems like old news now because this trailer dropped a week ago today. So last Monday, which was the day after we recorded our last show, and then we're a day late today. So it seems like super old news now, but I added it to the show notes a long time ago, so it still counts. The fandom has been a bunch of babies and been crying for this trailer for months and months, and it finally came out. And I don't know if it was scheduled to come out when it was released or if they did it because of the leaked trailer. But it looks fantastic. It looks just as good as the other two Spider-Man movies that are set in this universe. This one, we're gonna get into the multiverse, which we've been seeing a lot of with Loki and now What If over on Disney Plus, and Doctor Strange features heavily in this one, and he's got his own movie coming out next year that deals heavily with the multiverse. So it's just multiverse everywhere. In the MCU right now, and it just long story short, in this one, at the end of Far From Home, Spider-Man's identity was revealed, and in this movie, Peter goes to see Doctor Strange to help to cast a spell so that everybody forgets who he is. And from what it looks like in the trailer, that spell opens a rift to the multiverse. There's a lot of unknowns about this, but in the trailer we do see the return of Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus from the Tobey Maguire movies. We hear the Green Goblin cackle that sounds just like Willem Dafoe from the Tobey Maguire movies. There's a quick shot of some yellow lightning from Jamie Foxx's Electro from the Andrew Garfield movies. So there's a whole bunch of hubbub and whatnot about rumors about Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield also being in this, being Spider-Man from other universes. And, it looks cool. I don't necessarily think this is the right time to tell this big of a story, but I will still be there day one, minute one to watch it. So, nothing will keep me away from this.
So the big villain's supposed to be the return of Doc Ock and possibly a Green Goblin.
Well, they're supposedly, they're setting up the Sinister Six because you've got, you can have the Vulture, who was in the first of the Tom Holland movies. Scorpion was introduced in No Way Home as well, or not No Way Home, Homecoming. So everybody's just wondering who the sixth one is, but like I said, I don't really know who the big bad is. I don't know if these villains are just going to pop in for a minute and pop out. There's so much that's unknown about this. But,
well, I watched the trailer. I watched the trailer, and it just seems like to me like I understand what you're saying. I know that you go into a deeper dive on this over on Bumpkins TV, but you kind of mentioned that the Spider-Man core fans we're kind of hoping that you guys would get your own Spider-Man movie, but I totally forgot that the Doc Ock was in the Tobey Maguire movies and not this Spider-Man. So that's kind of cool that they brought the same actor in over that. But yeah, I've been hearing that. I read a little bit on Reddit about this trailer and some of the other comments where we just want to see a Spider-Man movie again without having him be a sidekick or being either shuffled along by Iron Man or by Doctor Strange or someone else.
Yeah, so I mean, it looks fun. Like I said, I'll absolutely be there to see it, but I'm not sure that this is the story I really wanted in this movie. But
I'll wait till after that we see it. But it just feels like as not a non-comic book fan, it's like I don't know the general direction and where Spider-Man's story goes through this and what happens. Of course, there's the multiverse animated movie, which a lot of people loved as well. So it's kind of strange to see where it takes just the moguls and how we react to this movie, because I don't really know after all the Avenger stuff what Spider-Man's goal is going to be or what path he's going to go down. Pete, did you watch it?
I did not.
Okay,
but looks very interesting and similar to the last one. But I will watch it when it comes out.
So this week, I was able to. I don't know how I was able to do it, but must have a slow day at work. But I was able to hop over and watch Gamescom live on YouTube, which is what tier gaming news convention? Like, where would this rank among like E3 and PAX and all those? Where would you say? Because do we ever really bring up Gamescom every year? Is it new or?
Well, it's just within the last year or two, it's gotten bigger because there's no E3, COVID shut everything down. So any kind of big gaming thing that announces anything is a big deal nowadays.
So just to hit on some of the high ones, there was not a lot of just blockbuster announcements during this. I think one of the biggest announcements was I don't really know what the biggest is, depending on what your genre is. Just going over some of the things here. They showed a little Halo Infinite multiplayer, which they talked about that a little bit, which was kind of cool. It kind of hit home, a little nostalgic for me because I know some of our earlier multiplayer games was Halo 2. Just seeing Halo multiplayer was kind of cool. I'm a big fan of Horizon.
That looked good.
Yeah, they're going to release a new Horizon map. You saw the Marvel. Tell us a little bit about the Marvel Midnight Suns storyline.
Well, it's
in the
just
game.
I mean, it's they're not really adapting it in the comics, but it's an XCOM style game made from the developers of XCOM, but with Marvel characters. And the name Midnight Suns belongs to, like, in the 90s, some supernatural characters, Ghost Rider and Blade and Morbius and some of those guys, and some of those same types of characters are in this game, but also along with Iron Man, Captain America, Captain Marvel, which seems a little bit out of place, but I'll still play it. I mean, it looks awesome.
And guys, I don't know how excited you can get about another Call of Duty game, especially a World War II Call of Duty game. There's another one. James, what do you think about that? Did you see anything on that?
Well, I think most of the Call of Duty purists prefer like the older. It's like it gets too crazy. Like when you have all these like exoskeleton suits and can like jump up over buildings and stuff. It's not I don't find that as attractive to play. Right. But like something like where it's a little bit more stripped down and just back to kind of like good old gunplay. Yeah. And they're going to release a new Warzone map that's going to be World War II themed. So that's going to be really awesome. I just picture like some massive map of like maybe like a Berlin or something just kind of destroyed. That'd be so cool. So
when they it's like Madden. How many
right.
They got to iterate on Madden every year. And
I was wondering, like, if you do, I don't know how many multiplayer Call of Duty or even Battlefield games, but how do you call an airstrike down in World War II? I guess a flare or something. I mean,
or get on that like that windy.
You have those big phones that are like this big.
The big phones.
We saw it in the movie, the movie that we watched a few weeks ago.
Oh, that's true.
Where they were, the World War II guys in the haunted house. They had a big old phone like that.
Okay. Just a couple of other ones. I'm just scrolling through here. There's a little bit of something on Flight Simulator. Oh, Age of Empires. There's an Age of Empires out for you guys. Liking that. Now, another announcement as far as hardware goes, and I think we all were kind of drooling over this, is they're releasing a Halo edition Xbox One X bundle, which is $550. I think you get the game, the console, which is a console, and a regular controller. Now, they did release the Pro controller, which looked really nice too. I think, James, you were liking that a little bit. But yeah, so Gamescom, like nothing big and huge. Another Lego, the Skywalker saga, which is a Star Wars Lego. But I'm just kind of,
that looks good though.
It
does
look
gameplay
really
looks a little
good.
bit different. Yeah,
I think that'll be really, really fun to play.
We'll play that, but like I said, nothing really. The Saints Row, I never really played the first Saints Row, so
a bunch of indie stuff. Like kind of just like these small game houses making stuff. Not a lot of like AAA blockbuster stuff. And I guess it's just maybe like the COVID stuff. It's kind of like now we're kind of really seeing the slowdown of stuff coming down the pipe from that.
So
they announced the release date for Horizon Forbidden West in February 18th.
That looked good.
Yeah, that seems
did you see her
away.
swimming?
Like,
did you see her swimming underwater? Did you watch any of that footage, Matt? It looked really good.
That looked good. And they released the where you can play it in 4K 60 on PS5 with like a update or something like that, or I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool. And there was another game that they did that too. What was the other one that they like as of Gamescom you could download? There was another game, a PS4 game that
was it Death Stranding?
Death Stranding, yeah, 4K 60 frames per second patch.
It looked
kind of cool.
Listen, that Death Stranding game,
it does.
Like I asked you if you got that because I thought that was like I didn't like the Norman Reedus like model. I wish they wouldn't have put him in there because I always think of movies when he's in it and it kind of takes me away from the game story. I guess I don't know why, but that game with all the gadgets and things that you can use in that game.
Well, they've got like the director's cut, which adds more stuff and
it's
I'm interested in that.
Techie and stuff like that. And I was hoping I could pick that up cheap because I did hook up the PS4. So
it's supposed to be. I was kind of like reading up on it. It's supposed to be really fun to play now if you have never played it because there's a lot of like community sharing things in it, like where. Like if we're on the same server and like you build a bridge or like work towards building a road, then I could just come up the first time and it's there for me. And then you can kind of build off of that. And like, so there's like all these complex things that like people have been working on for like, since the release of the game. And like now somebody coming in would just kind of benefit from all that. And it kind of supposed to be really cool. I think that's really neat.
Yeah, but the Xbox One, it went on pre-order, so there's probably people already sold out.
I'm glad they couldn't have announced that 1 month earlier when I got mine.
That would have been a cool one
before I got mine.
It would be. It's the best. It's really nice looking. I think that the only special edition that they've came out with for the Xbox One X. Okay,
I think
sounds good.
They
haven't made another. It's always been the black one or the white one, correct?
Xbox Series X. You gotta say Series X.
I'm sorry, Series X. I'm sorry.
One X is so last gen.
My bad. My bad. Okay, let's move on. Someone posted this in our Discord. It was a link to a news site saying that China's restricting online gameplay for its children. Who read this?
I think we all read it. I kind of posted it on here just because I thought it was super crazy. So I thought we should just acknowledge it that it's happening. Is that they're even going after game companies that they have to put in like facial recognition stuff, like it'll be like timers and counters on like monitoring these kids and how often they can play online games, and said they'll come after the game developers if they don't stick to strict adherence to their China rule. So it's just it's crazy, it's just it's just nuts, and it's unfortunate. And these games, like there's a lot of these games that are kind of developed in the West or in China, and it's I don't know, like I just see like it's going to be rough on us. even though it's not affecting us directly. You know, these game companies. I mean, how are they going to survive if if they're getting attacked by the government? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt.
Crazy.
Well, I mean, I was thinking all the kids in China there's a bazillion not online games to play. You know,
that's true.
They're gonna be playing a lot of Uncharted and God of War over the weekend. You know,
and they I mean, you know how it is. Whenever the governments put down a rule, the hacks are always like one step ahead. So I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
there'll be something going on. You know, where they're using some sort of VPN. Like everybody in China is now showing up as like in Brazil or something. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's already working on getting around that.
But yeah, I guess like there were a bunch of game companies that like their stocks just like as soon as this was announced, like they kind of like took a huge hit. So
okay,
crazy.
It is crazy. It's crazy stuff. Like I put a comment in there back in the wild days. There went the gold farming. I mean, that would have been probably. I mean,
any farming,
any kind of farming. I don't know what currencies that are out
Savory
there now.
Deviant Delight would be no longer because you couldn't go farm all that stuff.
Oh gosh. Anywho, okay, let's jump into the main meat of the show here, Matt. I'm sorry, Pete. Shit, I don't know why I keep thinking you picked this movie. Let's go ahead and tell us about The Vault.
Yeah, this is The Vault. It's on Netflix. It's a caper movie. It's a heist. So I mean, right from the get-go, there's going to be some backstabbing, double crossing. We kind of. I thought, like, watching the whole movie, I'm like, okay, well, maybe there isn't. But yeah, of course, you get into the last, segment of the movie, and then there's some double crossing. The team, you can't ever. But they did kind of know that the double crossing was coming, so that was I give them that. So, but yeah, so this is a movie. It came out this year, but I thought it was kind of cool when I was kind of looking up exactly some details on it. It was released in other countries with a different name. So only North America, it's known as The Vault. You guys want to know what the other name is in every other country except North America?
Yeah.
Way Down.
That's dumb.
That is dumb.
Vault's better. Yeah, sorry, the rest of the world. We got the better name.
And and as I was kind of reading it, and I was sitting here just a minute ago, and I was thinking, why would they name it that? And it's WAY Down. But then I'm thinking, could that be some sort of play on weight?
Way down.
Like they're with the whole thing at the end with the weighing of the. I don't know. I couldn't figure out why they would name it that. But, so anyway, this movie, a bunch of people that I had seen in movies before, but couldn't really tell you their names because it's like my wife loved the Bates Motel show that the series that came out.
Yeah.
She loved it, and I did
watch
not.
The Doctor show that he's in right now. The Resident.
I don't think so. No? It's something like that. Yeah. And I didn't really care for him as Norman Bates. Like I thought he was kind of creepy, and to be honest, he's a little creepy in this.
I keep thinking he's related, like has celebrity parents or something, but I'm thinking of Tom Hanks's son from Orange County, and I get those mixed up. Does he have celebrity parents? This guy?
Well, this says his dad is Edward Thomas Highmore, an actor, but I don't know.
Okay.
Everybody, lots of people are actors.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but so anyway. The gist of the story is he's this brilliant young engineer who's getting courted by all these big like petroleum companies, and his dad's kind of like leaning him towards going into kind of something where he can make a bunch of money and use his brains, but he's kind of like, I don't really want to do that, I want something a little bit more interesting. And then Sir Davos, from Game of Thrones, who I could just sit and listen to him talk like.
I know.
But
movie. He's so good.
Was he? It sounded like he was trying to disguise his accent and have more of an American accent.
Really?
Yeah. He sounded
it didn't sound
as whatever he was to me.
It didn't sound as like pronounced as it did in Game of Thrones.
And
maybe he was playing it up for Game of Thrones.
Maybe he was because he was a swashbuckling sea pirate smuggler.
Yeah. Liam Cunningham, great. He's so good.
Yeah,
but he does this little thing that like does. Kind of drive me crazy, like where he'll say things and he'll like move his head really fast.
Yeah, I know.
Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
Like well, we got to get to the bank.
Yep.
It's like
I don't think I know.
It's like a little tick or something. I don't know, but it's just like the way he accentuates words and like kind of like spins his head a little bit. Great actor though. So anyway, he gets recruited. They're off on this. He got some major like Italian job and even like a national treasure. Kind of felt like that. They're after this treasure that was sunken from a Spanish ship long time ago. They find it. But then it gets taken away by like the Spanish customs or Coast Guard,
the Spanish government claims
whoever those guys were. They were out there with helicopters and speedboats because they always wait until you get the treasure and then they swoop in. Have they not watched Indiana Jones? It always happens. That's what the Nazis do. They wait till Indiana gets the treasure and then they come and get it. That's like 101.
Make him do all the work.
So they go down. They have to like take off their scuba tank and they're free diving inside of a sunken ship and then they come out with a treasure. So we kind of fast forward. I won't go through all the stuff because, it's just like your normal caper movie. Let me introduce you to the team. Like I was waiting for that line because it always happens. And of course, the computer guys, chubby and eating Cheetos, like, come on. Like, why you got to stereotype like the nerds like that? Like that's not very cool. But.
And the thief is like this, exotic, exotically beautiful female.
Right.
Pickpocket and art expert and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So it's just some stereotypes there, but fast forward, they end up getting the treasure. There's some double crossing. Really cool, kind of like the vault is an enigma. Like that's why they kind of brought the Brainiac engineer kid in. He's got to kind of solve the vault. They get it in the end, and it sets itself up for a part 2, I think. So we're gonna maybe get the Vault 2 because they're going to have to go to London. What do you guys think?
Maybe the sequel will be called Way Up.
Ooh,
Way Up
instead of Way Down.
Well, I thought actually the whole entire movie, watched the whole thing, and you forgot to mention the World Cup. I mean, there was soccer reference, several times.
It saved the day because if they wouldn't have scored that goal, they probably would have been busted at the end.
Is that really the match that happened in 2010? Because the whole time, or when the movie started for the first at least 45 minutes, I was like, why in the world did they set this movie in 2010?
Yeah.
We were, there's 11 years worth of technology since then. But then I was like, because it all centers around that particular.
That was Spain. Spain was unstoppable, for like
But couldn't they just
about
made a
10
fake
years.
World? Does it have to be the real one? Couldn't they have just said, "Oh, it's the 2021 World Cup, and it's this in Spain versus Man U"?
You're right about that technology thing because they made a point. They made a point when they were like introducing the team, and then one guy was like, "I'm the guy who can get things," and he like pulls out a 3D printer, acting like it was like the.
Yeah, he's like, well, back then it was though,
Right, I know. But it was just like weird. It was like, what? But they made a point to kind of show that like they were stuck using older technology.
I thought it was overall pretty cookie cutter caper movie. It was really cookie cutter. I just the genius type of thing. I thought the vault, it being the big scale, and it flooded and all this stuff. I thought that was
apparently it's in the middle of a bottomless pit that you have to walk across the bridge.
And all that extra stuff, and him freezing the entire mechanism. There was some stuff that I tried really hard not to nitpick, and I wanted to enjoy it. And overall, it was a pretty decent kind of caper movie. They were actually after the coins from that treasure because the coins mark coordinates for the actual big treasure, which they find it. They were
for Francis Drake, and I was like, "Oh, I've played all 4 of those games."
And they had to weave in. They had to weave in a little love story there with him and the girl, and they knew each other for like a week,
right,
or something like that.
There wasn't much of a love story there,
but it showed him breaking out and becoming when he gave her that smooch. It was like that was him finding his treasure, bro. He was become a man.
Yeah, but it was all right. It wasn't great. I wouldn't watch it again. But
I wouldn't watch it again.
Just basically, there wasn't a lot of super hijinks and stuff. I mean, like Ocean's 11, had more. They they bugged the system and it takes them forever to find the bug, and it's just I don't know. It was all right, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought it was super paint by numbers, super like nothing new, super tropey and all that stuff. I was still into it, man. I love heist movies.
Mm-hmm.
I was into it from start to end. There was a lot of good suspenseful moments where I was like breathing a little bit. You know, he's the part where he's under the table hiding, and all the executives come in for meetings. Like, oh, they're gonna find him. They're gonna find him. This whole thing. So I mean, I was into it. The only thing that took me out is the head of security at the bank. he started putting pieces together. He's like, they're gonna steal the treasure out of our vault the night of the World Cup. I know it. Let's double security. Let's do this. Let's do that. If you are that sure that's going to happen, get 20 guards with guns, sit them in the vault, get a bunch of fold-out chairs, and just go sit in the vault. Just for the duration of the soccer game. Just go sit down in the vault with guns and just keep your eye on the treasure. Why?
Or move it.
Or move it. Yeah, I mean, just what's going to happen, but yet you're not keeping your eyes on it at all times. I guess they thought maybe they could see it from the cameras or something, but just sit a bunch of guys down there.
I love that they tried to pull the Motley Crue smoking in the boys' room video. Where they took a picture of the dome and put it over the thing so that they didn't see the hole in the dome. They thought that was on Smoking in the Boys' Room, the old video. They took a picture of the bathroom and put it up on the camera, and then they were in there smoking in the video.
I think Tom Cruise did that one of the Mission Impossibles too.
Probably.
I think so. All right. Well, it's an all around average, I think, from us all. I think Matt liked it a little bit more.
I liked it quite well, yeah.
Well, yeah, so
I would definitely watch a sequel for sure.
I think so. I would too.
I probably would watch a sequel. Because it had good acting. The actors were good and everything. So let's keep it with Netflix, guys. This just came out, and this is kind of on right along our lines too. Let's watch this new SAS movie with The Rise of the Black Swan. With this
son of a bee, I just added that to my list as soon as this movie was over. It was recommended. I was like,
"What's it called? What's it called?"
SAS, Rise of the Black Swan, a special forces operative traveling from London to Paris with his girlfriend takes action when armed, a ruthless mercenary seize control of their train. Okay, so
it's got the guy from the Scottish time travel show on what's that called?
Scottish Highlander?
Oh,
Scottish time travel show. Doctor Who?
Oh, here it is, right here. On IMDb, it's called SAS Red Notice. That's weird.
Grace, इस गांव की सही कीमत क्या होनी चाहिए?
This is not an English trailer.
It's not an English trailer.
Outlander. That's what the name of the show
Outlander.
is. Yeah.
Outlander. I was close.
Yeah, this is great. It has Ruby Rose. She was Batwoman in the first season of Batwoman before she quit. It looks cool. I'm into it. I'm a sucker for these kind of movies.
Let's see if this one is the correct one. That first one had the most views on YouTube, so it's kind of odd that.
Can you go to Netflix and just watch the trailer on Netflix?
I got it here. Let's do this.
Okay.
Grace, what's a fair price for that village?
200. Well, Andy Serkis is in this.
That village cleared today, all right? If they refuse, cut their tongues out.
Okay.
Red notices.
I don't know why I just kind of got a Ghost in the Shell kind of feel from her.
Private military company linked to alleged atrocities in the Republic of.
She's the bad guy in this, though, I think.
Yes, yes, the guy to move on us.
To confirm, this is a hard arrest. You'll serve the red notice.
I need eyes on Grace.
Grace is special.
Everyone is replaceable.
Grace isn't dead, boss.
I love being with you, Tom, but I don't understand you.
And let's talk about this in Paris.
I haven't said yes yet.
Don't be late.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
You may want to stop it right here.
That's good.
They'll show the rest of it.
It'll show them killing her.
Yeah, it's basically the Liam Neeson when he's on a train movie combined with Under Siege. You know, the Steven Seagal when he's on a aircraft carrier, but combined with a little Die Hard. I'll watch it.
2 hours and 3 minutes. Not too bad.
I will watch that as well.
That's a good one. I was going to watch it anyway, so kill two birds with one stone.
There you go.
Yep.
Guys, I signed back up for Game Pass for $1 this week, and I think I'm probably going to stay with it for a while. There's just a lot of good games. I think
I never canceled it because I'm smarter than you.
Well, you don't play games, so
right, okay.
Anyway, I was saving money. So I just wanted to try out and see what was coming up, especially with some stuff I saw at Gamescom and things like that. So I thought, let's get into that. Now, Pete and I played a game that's free on Game Pass now that's been on Steam for a while called The Ascent. Matt, have you heard of it? Did you see us when we?
Oh yeah, for sure. I was down to play it when they showed it at E3 last year.
Yeah. It's free on Game Pass right now, and it's a 4-player co-op that you can play through. It's a top-down 365-degree shooter, kind of like the old Smash TV. If you guys ever remember those type of games, I don't know what other games to compare it to. I haven't played a lot like this, but it's basically Cyberpunk. In a different world. You play. Are we mercenaries, or are we just paid? We're hired guns. What are we, James? Like our story.
We are just factory workers that have been recruited to fight our way to the Ascent. Is kind of like a conglomerate, and we have to there. But there's like a lot going on behind the scenes, like a lot of backstory that we find out. It's kind of like a mystery in the beginning, so we don't really know. I think where we are in the storyline, we don't know exactly what's going on. We're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, so it's been really fun. After we worked out all the kinks, like, I just don't know why we can't get online co-op games that we don't have to, like, the first night you want to play it, the first night is working out all the bugs and trying to get online together and try to figure out the resolutions that you're supposed to be in and how to do what. The very first night we played it, it was super crazy buggy and looked really bad. And I was like, I didn't want to say anything about looking bad. We played the whole time until we looked up some stuff about how to better optimize it. And apparently a lot of the, what's the syncs, the V-Sync stuff or the...
It has all kinds of problems.
Wait. Did you play this on PC or Xbox?
PC.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they had just put out a patch that was supposed to help with the frame rates, but what it did was mess with the DirectX, because there's like a DirectX 11 and a 12 version, and from what I read on Reddit, it messed up how the game detects what version of DirectX you're using. So then, like, if you had ray tracing disabled after the patch, it changed your computer to think that it was using the other DirectX, and it wouldn't even allow you to go in and change the ray tracing options. So like your computer was just like all jacked up. There's like super slow frame rates. Like we were getting probably like 20 frames per second. And then like these kind of games, like it's all about the frames because everything's running around and moving so fast. It was just like, we were like, oh my gosh, what do we got into? We didn't really know at the time that it was just something that actually had just happened like the day before. So they've already kind of like pushed out some patches, and there was like a workaround where you had to like change something and then log out and then go back in and then change something else and then reload the game, and then you could change your DirectX and disable the ray tracing. So they are working on getting the bugs fixed for PC Game Pass, because it's not on PlayStation, so you can only play it. Can't play it on Switch, can't play it on PlayStation, just Xbox and on PC through Game Pass. But I loved it. Like I had so much fun. I didn't realize at the time like how many builds there are, and like we kind of just got into the game and started running around shooting stuff, blowing stuff up. But there, I guess down the road, like I was on the Reddit page for Ascent. There's all kinds of really cool builds, like different like little biotechs that you can put on, like where you can become more tanky or more DPS. It seems like we're going to have a lot of fun with this. Like I'm super excited for it. I haven't really thought about the last game I really thought about during the day, like while I'm driving, and I'll just kind of like go off into my head thinking about a game, was probably Genshin Impact, and that was months ago. So I haven't really played anything that I'm as absorbed into
as cross-platform yet?
It's not.
But you got Game Pass, so just get it on Game Pass for free on your
PC. Right, but I'd rather play it on my Xbox, so I don't have to fool with all that garbage.
Let me tell you, you don't.
The controller might be rough.
I started off with the controller and thought the 2 analog sticks would be good for the 365 movement and whatever. Oh, the mouse and keyboard's so much better. It really is. But to each their own. You can try it that way. But I would really like for you to get it so you could jump into our game, because right now we level 10. Would we hit 10?
Slightly higher,
10 or 11?
Yeah, maybe right around there.
And I'd like to see if you could invite and come in as a level 1 to see how that helps you. I mean, we fought a boss. We did a mission with a bunch of. It really got challenging there towards the end. We had to fight a bunch of guys, and it took us several sides. But the things I like about it, it's super easy to join up games. We had no problems with that. And it loads your last save point, so you don't lose a lot when you die. You pretty much load back at the last save point you're at, and it auto saves as it goes along. So that's a really fun. And you can just quit to desktop, and it saves it. And he can jump in. Like I could continue on playing my game solo, and he could jump in and out of my game, I guess. I don't know.
Right. That's the thing. It's like, so I've only played as joining your story game. So even though I have my character and it's level 11, if I was to start a game on mine, I would have to start all over from scratch.
Okay.
So I'm only saved like through your game. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I've also heard there's some bugs where like people who are like really high level go in and play with somebody lower level, then they come back out and they've lost like some of their like perks that they've unlocked and stuff. So I think maybe with like the co-op, it might be some bugs that they got to work out. But
well, if I'm always hosting the game, you guys get to jump in. That's no problem. But if you want to play your own mission solo, like if you were to play a different build or something like that, you would definitely have to go out on your own and jumping in to help you. It's not going to be as good as like something like The Division or something like that.
Dude, Ubisoft is still just the gold standard for co-op. Jump in, jump out.
Yeah, and like literally coming right in with the party where they're at. Like it's just so easy with
whoever's
Ubisoft.
The host, that's whose game you're in. And if you leave, all that stuff, they're just top notch.
Just like little things that like you would have thought that they would have like troubleshot. Like there's like dots on the mini map. So like if Matt's playing and you're like a red dot, like I could see your red dot and it's like different than everybody else's dots, like bad guys and NPCs. Opie's dot was black
against a dark black.
And I'm like, dude, he's like, I'm right over here. Like I'm around the corner. And I'm like, I don't see you, man. I was like, your dot does not show up on my map. And we're like looking around, and then he was like standing next to me, and then like he was so close to my dot, which was like blue or something, that it kind of like made mine like a like a half moon because it was like black dot, and then he moved and I'm like, your dot is black.
And the ring around my character,
where the other player dots were like a terrible color choice.
Yeah, but the icon around my character's feet, like the little circle, was black as well. So I knew in the character screen there was some colors there, and one of them was black, and I was like, there's got to be a way to change it. So we looked it up, and we have to go in like what you would call the barber shop in WoW, and you can change everything about your character and pay a fee or something like that. So I was able to change it to orange.
Oh, nice.
Of course. So now he's running around like with his balls orange.
Yeah, definitely see if the cross-platform thing, Matt, it's not. I don't think it's gonna. If it'll work or not, but it's definitely fun on PC.
Yeah,
and you can use your controller on your PC if you want to go with controller. But I don't know.
But my Xbox is more powerful than my PC.
Okay. Well,
and even with all the bugs and stuff, I still had a really good time. Every time we've played it, when it's time to get off, it's like 11:45, and you're like, oh, I gotta get off here. I'm like, dang it, I want to just play like an hour longer. And I haven't done that with a game in a while, so I'm excited. I'm excited to just play through the whole story.
Game Pass, awesome.
Game Pass, get it.
So, guys, did you watch the? I linked the this YouTube video documentary 60-minute report came out a couple of weeks ago from a well-known YouTuber who puts out a lot of investigative reports. I've seen him do stories about the Twin Galaxy scandal. Also, he's a speedrunner, and so he's done some speed runs on some people doing fake things like that. But he's actually a gamer who brings out, and I should have brought up his information and his name and stuff, but I'll get to it in just a second. But anyway, he posted a video a couple of weeks ago, and on the corner of it is just, scam alert. On the thumbnail, it says scam alert, and it's got a picture of that unopened, sealed Super Mario Brothers, the black cartridge for the NES that went for, what was it, $2 million?
$2 million?
$2 million at auction. And I wasn't really paying attention to it at first, and it kind of sparked my interest, and I just put a mental note in the back of my head when I first saw it pop up on my recommended. I was like, I'm going to say there's probably some truth behind that. So, did you guys watch it before I get into it?
No, I didn't watch because it's like an hour almost. I didn't watch all of it. I kind of skimmed through it, and I didn't even really watch it until after I watched Metal Jesus's video about talking about it.
Too. I watched Metal Jesus first.
That's like That's kind of the cliff notes of what you're watching. So if you don't have 50 minutes, then watch the Metal Jesus Rocks video that's talking about the subject, because it's pretty much the same thing.
So I've played games ever since the NES, or I had Atari 2600 NES all the way up through until now. And just about 2 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago, I started going back and just buying older games, 360 games, Nintendo games, any kind of retro video games that I could find to kind of get into it, because I wanted to collect it. I still have my original NES, my original Sega Genesis, my original Sega CD. Anyway, let's just say that I picked up the hobby of going back and buying retro games, and I started to get into it. Now, I wasn't into it as heavy as our buddy Dan at Level Cap TV. He's been doing it for a while, and that he was a lot of the inspiration for me getting into it, because I thought it was so cool that he was going back and getting these games, and I started getting into it too. I kind of said that to say I kind of been into the hobby for a few years now and kind of know kind of what prices go for. I never have been so far invested in it that I was going to pay big money for games. I'm a nostalgic for a lot of older games, but I've never really wanted to go out of pocket. I just kind of liked finding them in thrift stores and in Goodwills and in the wild, and just throwing them in the collection here behind me and just having them, which was super fun. Trading them with you guys, we would find doubles, that sort of thing. Nothing like what the industry, I guess you say the hobby, has grown to. Ever since COVID hit, we started noticing a little bit more or a drying up of the games in the wild. Like, I think a lot of people saw the prices of video games start skyrocketing. I was listening to a couple of podcasts about video game collecting, and they could not believe, because everyone that was in the hobby thought that COVID and the whole quarantine would make games go down, like the prices of games go down. But in turn, it went completely opposite. People had more time. Apparently they had more money, somehow, and they wanted something to do. So all of the hobbies, and I guess Matt could probably saw a little bit of it in the comic book world too, started to increase. Now, this wasn't an increase like we saw with the Mario cartridge that we're talking about. And when this came to surface, this was supposedly an original. It was a demo. Well, I don't want to say a demo, but it was a cartridge that was sent out to retailers. Like, if you listen to, like, the NES historian has a really good video on when the NES was trying to make it into America. They gave a lot of these copies of these games to retailers to play or to demo, to decide if they wanted to, buy the NES or get it into their stores, and so they could, start shipping over here and start carrying them in retail stores. Well, some of these cartridges weren't in cellophane. They weren't for sale. They were just in the cardboard box with just a seal on it. And that was one of the ones that was still sealed in the box. It was like a not for sale early retail copy, like retailer copy, that somehow got graded. And that's another part of this whole thing that you're talking about, are these grading companies that have pretty much came into play. And what happened is the company that graded this card, and then when it went to auction, it sold for $2 million. Apparently this video exposes some things about the people behind the grading company and the people behind the auction sites that these games are selling for. They know each other. Like they're
the same people.
They're the same people. Yeah, they're working behind the scenes and basically to drive up the price of these games. And it goes into a lot of detail. Like this guy is just not shooting from the hip. This dude even talks about how some of the same people were responsible for the coin explosion and then rapid fall in the 80s when people collecting coins, and then the grading companies got involved and they started driving up the prices, because basically when you can grade something and justify how much it should be worth, not just like what, if you and I start bidding on something and it's not graded, it's just something that you and I both want, we can kind of name the price because I'm willing to pay so much for it. You're willing to pay so much for it. But when you grade something, apparently people are holding this to a certain standard. And like you mentioned, Matt, as we were chatting about this, like grading is graded by a human, and it can't be the same across the board. So basically,
it's arbitrary. It's subject to the opinion of the person who's grading it at the time. That's why with comic books, I've seen people open up a book, 9.6. I thought it was a 9.8. Crack the case, mail it right back.
Yeah. And he mentions that in there as well. But what this did was, what grading did, especially, and this is not new to other hobbies, because comic books have been graded, slabs, coins have been graded forever, baseball cards have been graded, things like that. But it brings investors into your hobby. And when investors get into your hobby, investors are people that are rich, that are in the hobby just to make money and then to get out of the hobby. They're not in the hobby because they enjoy the hobby. They're not in the hobby because they're nostalgic for the hobby or the things that they're trying to collect. They're in the hobby to make money off the product and move on. And that's what has essentially happened here. Is this goes on to talk about a lot of rich people are investing in this hobby. And this goes back to pre-COVID, because when I was listening to this podcast, that talks about one of the guys on the site, and I can't remember his name, who bought up a couple of, he bought a huge collection, that Carolina collection. Do you remember them mentioning that? That same guy bought the website, this NES website called NES. It was some
kind of Nintendo database website that kept track of values and things like that. He bought it and then shut it down.
Exactly. Nintendo Age. It was called Nintendo Age. And basically this was the holy Bible for NES or Nintendo cartridge, anything Nintendo as far as retro gaming goes. It was fan driven. It was fan researched. It was fan documented. People would tell you like how many were out there, what they found, and they would document it on there. So you had a pretty good running rate of what the values were as far as like the hobby went. Well, this guy bought it up and then shut it down. And then the guys on the podcast were really, really, really upset about this, because that's something that was a go-to. Now, I know that he can't shut down places like price charting, but all price charting does is just look up the games on sold auctions on eBay and tells you what they've sold for on eBay. That doesn't include what private auctions or anything like that go for. It's just what's been on eBay. So yeah, it's just really startling that's happened, and hopefully, apparently there's been a lot of people responding to his official Twitter account about this video to kind of, a lot of people that are in the video are trying to rebuttal what he's saying in the video and try to justify what's going on. But it's all, it sounds legit to me. I mean, that would be the only reason these people would ever be involved. And he's got too much proof to say that it's not true. It's not true that some of this is going on.
Well, one of the things, and it is really interesting and just crazy and unfortunate, but I've looked on Twitter, and the WADA company, they said like that they were never even approached with an opportunity to tell their side of the story.
Okay.
Like that they, like that to refute what the accusations are, like they would have been like, here's our side of it. Like you don't, just kind of telling your side and then throwing it out there. Like you didn't even give us a chance to explain what's going on. So I kind of, I don't know. It is unfortunate.
Probably should have done that to show both sides of it, but they probably would have just thrown out a bunch of lies.
Probably,
most likely.
So Matt, as far as comic book goes, I know that was it ever this bad? I mean, was there?
Well, the difference is, they talk a lot about the '90s speculation and the how the bubble burst in the '90s. The difference is now, the Mario game sold for $2 million. And now all these investors are taking notice. Oh, video games are worth money, and everybody's going to go scrambling for retro games. In the 90s, the comics got real big in the late 80s. You had a lot that started selling for a lot of money, just like this Mario game was. But the speculators were buying up all the new stuff. So the equivalent now would be like, holy crap, Mario just sold for $2 million. I'm going to go buy the new Horizon game, and I'm going to go buy the new Gears of War and that kind of stuff, and save so it's a little different. And there was no, as far as I know, of course, back then there wasn't, the comics weren't really graded back then. And there wasn't the relationship between the grading company and the auction company like there is here. The only one that this made me think about is that they didn't touch on in regards to comics is Heritage Auctions sells a lot of original comic art that goes for tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. That I don't really follow that scene too much. But when he said Heritage Auctions was sort of rolling up the price, I was like, I wonder if they're doing that with original comic art, and I wonder if all this original comic art that's getting sold for tens of thousands of dollars really is. I mean, it's for sure, worth a lot because there's only the one original piece of artwork. But I was like, I wonder if they're doing the same kind of shady stuff with that. So.
Right.
The comparisons to the 90s to the comic speculation is valid, but it's a little different still.
Well, I think Metal Jesus said it good, and this is where it kind of hits the little guy, is when he goes to a garage sale and asks about, it's not like, and the guy explains it great in the video that retro, and I don't consider myself a hardcore retro gaming collector. I just like it's a side hobby for me, just like VHS tapes. It's like vinyl records are. I like what I like, and if I see something for $1 or $2, I want to pick it up. You know what I'm saying? That sort of thing. But that's the world that we live in. And he talks about a lot of the collectors before the investors got involved. It was just fun to find the stuff. It was fun to negotiate prices and find it on the cheap. But now that a video game, a video game that is recognizable as Super Mario Brothers sold for $2 million, has people putting stuff out on the garage. It was bad enough that people would look up, you would go into a game store and the guy would look it up before he would sell it to you.
Oh,
it was bad
that
enough.
happens with comics right now, and that's shady. Oh.
It was bad enough. You would go to a garage sale and somebody say, let me look it up real quick or whatever. I saw this, not having any idea what they had or whatever. But now, Metal Jesus said that the lady just actually mentioned that particular auction, that game, and people in the back of their mind think, well, I got some of these old video games, man. It might be, worth money. And that just takes the little guy out of it because people are just it's going to pop. I really think that this is a bubble that they said several times on there. It's going to pop. So the people who are still.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And we can buy them up when they're all cheap.
I know. So yeah, it's definitely when the investors get out of it, I think the bubble will pop, but I hope it doesn't get too crazy. Like that example they made of that Spider-Man Atari game was insane. Like someone put a graded copy up there and then it sold to that auction. So all these copies just popped up because that's apparently a very, very common game in Atari, even sealed.
So that's the biggest problem with this particular thing, though. The video game thing is there's no population report, so you don't know how many are out there. You don't know how many of each grade. Like comics have that, so you don't have this problem, and I'm sure other collectibles do too. That's for me. That was the big takeaway. That was like the key. That was the root of the problem for games, is that there's no population report like there is for a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. Well, the graded stuff is, I mean, it's like talking about like, you know, if I buy Death Stranding today on PS5 and hold it, you know, it's games back then. Nobody thought, just like comics, nobody thought when they bought the 60s Spider-Man, they were all bought and just like read and thrown under a bed, and kids were rough with them. Just like these Nintendo boxes. Like I don't even remember what I did with my Nintendo game boxes. Like I took them out and pitched that thing and threw it in there and was playing the game in like 2 minutes, you know? I didn't care about the box. Like, so to see like a pristine box it's crazy. You know what I mean? Like there can't be a ton of them. Like there just can't be.
Right. I linked a video not too long ago before this whole auction stuff happened about a guy. I looked at our Discord that went into his brother's basement or whatever. And his brother was just one of those people who keeps the boxes and stuff like that. But he was digging for stuff to get graded. And like people are just like wanting to get everything graded because that's the way it is. But he made the mention that like Switch games and stuff like that right now, people are buying 2 copies and keeping one.
I don't think that's ever going to be worth
sending it off to be graded. Dude, comics same way. The new Batman has the first appearance of a character. I'm going to send it off to be graded. It's only like a week old. I don't see. Might blow up. Come on,
that's dumb. It's like I have from that lot of games that I bought from that guy, all those PS3 games. And there was like 10 or 15 of them that were still sealed, and like one of them is Dead Space, like on PS3, and it's a sealed Dead Space game, and it's like probably my highest valued game, even though it's just Dead Space. But it's like $100, you know, sealed. But it's like I wouldn't send that in to get graded because I'm sure there's a bajillion sealed Dead Space games out there, you know.
What about that Sega Saturn game that was graded with a bunch of holes punched in it and everything like that?
And that's the problem with grading, is that it's arbitrary. It's RNG is what it is. You better hope that you find a grader who's maybe having a bad day, or maybe had a little bit to drink at lunch or something, or maybe they're having a good day, maybe they're feeling generous. There's no, I mean, I'm sure there's a guideline by which you go, but it's still, you know, you could send the same thing to 2 different people and get 2 different grades, but yet they're supposed to be the arbiters of what what the grade is, and that's,
and when they get a cut of the value, like that's like, okay, that should be a red flag right there. Like it's like, it's not just like, oh, we get $50, or you know what I mean, like some sort of like they get, so it only, you know, entices them to say, oh, well, this Mario game, this isn't a 9.0, this is a 9.8, dude.
Well, that was crazy about getting games graded is the cost of getting it graded is a percentage of the value.
Right.
Comics is like $20 or 30, or I think it's more than that. But you know, it's like give me $40 or whatever, and we'll grade your comic regardless.
You know, as far as anything up to human error or human, you know. Or whatever you want to call it, however human would want to evaluate it. It's same would go like Pete in sports, like these recruiting sites too, 4 or 5 star guys. Like there's 3 or 4 different sites. Look at the same guy at the same camp, and you know, depending on and we've said it all along that these sites, depending on the school that these kids are going to go to, give them different grades because that school will give that site more access to kids and things like that. So they're like, yeah, if you're going to Alabama, we're going to give you that 5th star. When if you're going to Cincinnati,
it happens.
You're not getting that 5th star.
What you're saying has happened for like the Cincinnati basketball, like where we will have like a guy going into a senior year of high school that's already been designated like a 5-star recruit, and he has offers from like Kentucky, Duke, Illinois, Georgia Tech. And he'll say, I'm going to Cincinnati. And it's like the next month he's downgraded to a 4-star.
Yeah.
And we're like, total bullcrap. Like if he'd have stayed at UK, if he'd have went to UK or Duke, they wouldn't have let him fall down to a 4-star. It would have been
we call it the Bama bump in Tennessee.
That's exactly like that.
We call it the Bama bump. If you're going to Bama, you get the bump.
Because it's just some guys like us that are grading these prospects and giving them a number value.
And you know what the thing is that's almost a little bit different. Like you can have a different evaluation for athleticism or something like that, or see how a guy moves or whatever. But like a comic book, like if there's a crease, there's a crease, right, Matt? If it's colored, if it's an off color, then that's a color shade. I mean, if its staple is not lined up correctly, everyone should see that. I mean, it should be a little bit more cut and dry, but it's not that you say.
It's still I mean, like I said, there's guidelines, but it's still a little bit RNG, you know.
Right. All right. Well, I'm going to pull an audible. Maybe next week we can talk about the Star Wars Mandalorian finale if you guys want to watch that. Let's jump right to Survival Z. Who put that up there on the Apple Arcade?
That would be I.
Okay.
I'll be fast on this because it's it's a mobile game, so there's not as much depth. It's not like a Skyrim. We're not talking World of Warcraft here or something, but I just want to share a little bit of the gameplay footage and show you what I've been playing on my couch this week. Because Apple Arcade, it's kind of like it's like a Game Pass for mobile games. Like you pay I don't even know how much it is. So I'm sorry.
$5
It's super cheap. It seems super cheap anyway, because I don't even really remember how much it is. But then you get access to all these games that are created just for Apple Arcade. And so this one's called Survival Z. And let me see if I can get this rolling. Here we go. So it's got a little bit of RPG to it, but it's more like a tower defense type thing. Like, so you start these waves and you auto shoot, which I think is really cool because it's nice for like using a tablet like that you auto shoot. So you'll kind of unlock these like barrels you can lay down and then blow up whenever you drag the guys through them and stuff like that. And then there's like things to slow them down, and there's things to like a turret that you can bring up, which is kind of neat. But this game is super popular right now on Apple Arcade, and it's just like one of those games that's super easy to pick up, and you just kind of run around shooting zombies and upgrade your stuff. And there's a little bit of a story to it. But one of the things that I thought was really cool is there's like the system to choose. You just don't move on to the next level. It's like almost like a choose your fate. Like you have like this map, and you can like choose the path that you want to go on, and there's like a story for that path, but you can deviate from it. Like if you want to go down this path over here to try, like, see this right here. So there's like all these like different routes you can take, and like different. It's just they did it's kind of unique. So Survival Z, it's a fun game. If you're on Apple Arcade, download it, give it a play. It's fun. I mean, that's
does that have controller support?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm 99% sure that it does.
I just can't do touch controls. That just takes me right out of a. That's why I don't play mobile games. I just don't like touch controls. You guys
got that little controller mount though, right, for your phone? Okay, cool.
Yep.
Cool. All right, Matt, jump into it. Start us off with the pickups, please.
Yeah. I just got one thing. I got this cardboard box in the mail the other day.
Oh, yay!
And
I know what that is. I've seen it online. It's your Mega Bloks figures. Yeah. That's awesome. Trap Jaw.
And which one's that one? Scare Glow. Word. And we've got Manny Faces.
Yep, I can't wait to find these in the wild. I know I'm going to get them. I always do.
And we've got like Neon Triclops.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And then we got my favorite, Roboto.
Orange and white. Orange and gray.
Yep. Yeah, and it's weird. Like this box, it's not an Amazon. Like it says, came this way, and it says Mega Constructs or whatever. And
yeah, I was seeing them posted. I saw some of those being posted. Pete, what you got?
I got a couple things. Got Dragon Quest 11.
Nice, dude.
Thank you, Paxton, for the gift card to Walmart. that you don't know that you gave me, but I found it in the drawer and it looked like it was really old and it had like Christmas stuff on it. So I'm assuming that you were saving it for me. So I went and used it towards that. And but he did get something in return. So he got these
nice
Fortnite Joy-Cons. We had some serious Joy-Con drift going on in the Ledford house with our OG. And I mean, I'm not going to dog it too much because these things have been used and abused. So we had some Joy-Con drift. It was almost unplayable. We have a Pro controller also, and then we have a Pokemon controller that's third party for the Switch. So the kids use that a lot. They really need new Joy-Cons. They had this Fortnite ones. Paxton never asks for anything. But he said he needed a new Joy-Con, so I went and got him these, and he was super happy. Look, even like the little home button is like the eyeball on the button.
Oh, nice.
Well, let me ask you guys this. You Switch guys this. Are Joy-Cons refurbishable like controllers? Like, can you take them apart, clean them?
Maybe somebody does.
Send them to Nintendo, and supposedly they fix them, but there's so many people have done that, and they come back still messed up.
There was a huge deal like where Nintendo, they like act like there wasn't a problem at first and people were super complaining about it, and then they kind of said that they would fix them or something like that. I mean, I don't know.
And you don't have a Pro controller going on at your house, James?
Yeah. I just told you I have a Pro controller.
Yeah.
And I have
that Pro controller, man. I have one, and it's one of the best controllers ever.
Absolutely. I don't know. This has the battery of 10 suns in it. I don't know how they did it. But like my PlayStation controller, the new one is better. The PlayStation 5 controller battery is good.
Dude, that PS4 controller, an hour, and it's dead.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it's awful.
I don't understand how bad. I don't know. So anyway, but then I have a Pokemon third-party controller too. So it wasn't super high priority to get these Joy-Cons, but I did. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Well, like you, Matt, I got a box too.
Oh, yeah, dang!
It's from Big Bad Toy Store.
You.
I ended up getting this whole wave of pre-ordering a wave of the Masters of the Universe figures. So I'll start off with probably the best merman that they make, and this is the Lords of Power merman. If you don't know what LOP, that's what LOP stands for. The Lords of Power was the name of Masters of the Universe before they renamed them Masters of the Universe, and there was a figure line that had Merman in it, He-Man, Skeletor.
Everybody knows that, duh. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
LOP, duh. Come on.
There's your boy Fisto.
Love Fisto. Fisto's awesome. Are these the guys that have? Do they have?
Blow me up, James.
Elbows?
Oh shoot! Sorry about that.
What's that?
Do they have Yeah. Okay.
Yep. I'll let you look at that merman one more time. These cards are unpunched too, but I'm still. I was
get them graded. Get them graded.
I was kind of pleased with that they didn't come in rough shape because they're in there. Evil Lyn. This is the non-yellow Evil Lyn. This is the pale Evil Lyn. So I've already got an Evil Lyn back there, but the first, that's wave 1. So this is wave 5, I think. So I've got wave 1 and wave 5.
Never seen waves 2, 3, or 4. But...
Never seen the other waves, honestly.
Oh,
and last but not least, there's my boy.
Oh, congratulations!
And he's got the retro face too. He comes with a retro face on there. But if you can see I should have wore my Faker shirt today.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yep. So those are my
comic book. Is that what it said?
Yeah, they all come with mini comics in the back.
Ooh, I remember little mini comics used to come with stuff.
Yep. And that's it. And a little Big Bad Toy Store card thing says thank you for spending money. But
I've got a hardcover that collects all those He-Man mini comics down here.
I do too. I've got it as well.
Oh, did you get it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
It's awesome. I was reading it to you guys one night on here.
Big Bad Toy Store or Entertainment Earth or something. That's pretty much the only way you can get these, these figures.
So how do they have access to it? Are they just like a retailer? Are they like a Target or a Walmart? And they just get a bunch?
They're a little bit. I think there's some kind of weird deal going on where they had, they paid. This is all speculation, but I feel like they pay a little bit more to Mattel or Hasbro or whoever, and they get most of the stock, which is why we don't get them in Target and Walmart. And of course, you have to pay for shipping, and it costs a few dollars more than what you find in retail, but you get them, so it's a trade-off.
Nice. Those are some good pickups. We did good this week.
Yeah,
we did good. All right. Since we are done, let me go ahead and hit us up on the social medias, guys. Twitter at Anything Newcast, Instagram, Anything New Podcast. We're on TikTok, Anything Newcast. Gmail is Anything New Podcast at gmail.com. And YouTube is a bit.ly link. It's bit.ly/anything new YT. And Discord is bit.ly. It's bit.ly/anything new Discord #1. Thanks again, everybody, for sticking around with us. It was a long show. We got a lot packed in, and hopefully we'll be back same time next week, Sunday night, and just look for anything we post on social media. Guys, you got anything else?
Don't forget to watch the Netflix movie Sass.
Sass. Put a little sass.
So SAS, but Sass.
Sass. All right. Awesome. Say good night and have a good run, everybody. See ya.